Hey, welcome back to Pocket Aces Racing Television. Jared Shoemaker here with Pocket Aces Racing LLC. It is last full week here in September. We just completed the 2025 Keeneland September Yearling Sale, where we went all in. We bought six new yearlings. We got four colts, two fillies, and really could not be more excited about what we've walked away with. Watching that first 4 days of the sale, 5 days of the sale, we were really concerned that it was going to be late in the sale before we got going and before we were able to purchase anything. But as is often the case, things started slowing down on Saturday and really started winding down a little bit more on that Sunday. And Sunday is when we got started with our first purchase. We got on the board with HIP 1604, an absolutely gorgeous Good Magic colt out of Lisa's Booby Trap by Drew Man. A lot of racing fans are very familiar with Lisa's Booby Trap. She had one hell of a racing career, hitting the board in 15 out of 18 starts. Won a Loudonville stake at Saratoga, graded stakes producer with Not That Brady. She was a great race mare. She's been a good brood mare so far. And what else do I need to say other than Good Magic? Are you kidding me? By Curlin, certainly one of the best sires alive today in North America. Already produced a couple of really strong horses in Mage, just off to an incredible start still early in his stallion career. Dornock won the Belmont, again Mage winning the Kentucky Derby. You got Muth, Blazing Sevens, Mixed Two, just to name a few. And this colt, we went into the sale thinking we wanted to spend average about $50,000 on four horses. And of course, right out of the gate, as is often the case, we're over budget on the very first one. We pick up this gorgeous colt by Good Magic he was about $80,000. He was $80,000, and just could not be more excited. He's got everything you look for, and he's just big. He's strong. He tracks well. Just everything that you like and want to see in a horse. Buff Bradley, former trainer, now works with Keeneland Sales. Good friend of ours and friend of the Pocket Aces team. He came on. We saw him when we were watching this horse at the ring and said, "Hey, take a look at this and real quick, tell us what you think." And he said, "Oh, I've had this horse on my list since this summer." So he said, I fell in love with him earlier when we were out inspecting horses, and I just think he's got so much potential. He's a great big colt now, but he's just got the frame that he's going to be one that grows into something really nice. So we stretched the budget, went over the budget considerably, and couldn't be happier with what we got. He's selling pretty quickly, not going to be around forever, but we do have some availability still left. Jump on in on him. Obviously we don't know, but I don't think you'll be sorry on that one. The second that we bought out of the sale was probably not one that, going into the sale that we would have been like, hey, let's go make sure we take a look at Jack Christopher colts. But the reality is, it felt like, every time we were looking up at a good-looking colt or a good-looking yearling walking by in the back ring, we kept seeing Jack Christopher as the stallion, as the sire. And wow, he's just, every one we saw looked really nice. And this one was our favorite. He's out of a Medaglia Doro mare, and who earned $195,000 herself. She's got a couple winners already, and just so she got the breeding. Jack Christopher, son of Munnings, earned over $1 million, was 5-0-1 in 6 starts. He won the Champagne at age 2, won the Pat Day Mile at 3, won the Woody Stevens, Alan Jenkins. Just an exceptional sprinter, but he also ran a third in the Haskell. He got beat by Cyberknife and Taiba, finished ahead of White Abario and some others. So, not only was he a tremendous sprinter, but he could carry that distance over a route of ground. And we saw this horse when we were looking at several others, and he just jumped out at us. And though we were pretty interested in those others, we decided to start following him. He just stood out head and shoulders above those other two or three that we were looking at the same time. The biggest question that we had was, were we going to be able to afford him, because we thought he was really, really nice. Talked to the consignor, and luckily the seller had a very, very reasonable reserve. He needed to sell. He wasn't in a position to race the horse himself. So we decided we were going to take a shot. Again, we came out over our budget, which was, we were looking to spend around $50,000 or so on each horse that we bought, and of course he cost us $70,000. But again, I think money well spent. Again, the colt by Jack Christopher out of by Medaglia d'Oro, and just a really, really good looking colt. Could get you a little bit of anything. Out of Munnings, by Munnings, Jack Christopher was. Maybe he's going to get you dirt sprint. Maybe he's going to get you a mile on the turf. Obviously remains to be seen. But I think we got a lot of options, and think he could be quite versatile. So that was purchase number 2. Also got him on Sunday, which again surprised us a little bit. We were back again on that next Monday for our next purchase. And the next one we bought, what was the third? The third one we bought was the Independence Hall filly. And we've got an Independence Hall colt that's Hyperlink, and got a bug in my face. Hyperlink, and we still have some availability in him. So we talked a good bit about whether or not we wanted to add another Independence Hall. He hasn't been super hot as a sire. He's had some decent runners so far, but nothing that he just hasn't been setting the world on fire just yet. And with the fact that we still haven't sold out the 2-year-old colt Hyperlink, we were a little hesitant. But the more that we watched her, the more that we followed her through, the longer we followed her through the ring, it basically just decided, you know what? Hell with it. She's too nice, and we're not going to let the fact that we've got an Independence Hall already. We're not going to talk ourselves out of it. She's just got too much going on for her. She's oh my goodness, I can't keep track of what I'm doing here with all my notes and pages. Just a really super nice filly. She's tall, she's leggy, she's out of a Union Rags mare, and she stands over a ton of ground. She's got a super nice walk. She's very framey. She's good size already, but you can see that she's got a lot of room to grow. She moves exceptionally well. She's a very, very nice, agile, no wasted motion in her walk, and just really couldn't be more thrilled with her physically. Ted Campion is a bloodstock agent. Primarily what he does is he buys weanlings and turns around and sells them as yearlings. And we've worked with Ted over the years, and Mark and Ted have a great relationship together. And Ted has picked out some really good weanlings that he sold as yearlings, such as Nyquist, Sweet Talker, Ida, Rattle and Roll, and dozens of stakes winners that he's picked out as yearlings or weanlings and turned around and sold as yearlings. So the fact that this was one of Ted's, and that he saw enough in this filly as a baby when she was a weanling, that he put his money where his mouth is, and then on top of that, the fact that we liked her as much as we did, that we were willing to put aside the kind of cold stallion in Independence Hall, and the fact that we had one already, because she's just so nice physically, and she's out of a Union Rags mare who's already produced a couple winners, and just an absolutely gorgeous filly. And we paid $47,000 for her. So hey, we actually came in under budget a little bit for once. Again, I think she's gonna she represents some pretty great value early, on the filly side for us. That was purchased on Monday. The next one that we bought was a colt by Charlatan. Also happened on Monday, and again Monday, after that first weekend concludes at the sale, that's when things really start to change. The whole dynamic around the sale shifts. A lot of the really big buyers, the Bob Bafferts and Chad Browns and all those folks that are there spending huge amounts of money early on in the sale, they're gone, and you got a lot more pinhookers, a lot more end users, and prices become much more reasonable. And we came across this colt, this Charlatan colt. It was, I guess, late morning, early afternoon on Monday, and he was one that just kind of wowed us as soon as we saw him. Not too big, not too small, just really handy type that looks like he should be, not going to take a super long time. And he was by Charlatan. Charlatan is he's out of Speightstown, or by Speightstown. It was a champion sprinter, and last year and this spring at the 2-year-old sales, Charlatans were as hot as they came. They were selling for crazy money. And what happened is that they didn't really set the world on fire at Saratoga, and a lot of buyers got down on them. But seeing this colt, we just couldn't. There's no getting down on him. And we're actually looking at another colt by Charlatan, 2089. This is hip 2090. We really liked them both, but this one was just better, and we focused on him the rest of the way. Super solid mind. He never turned a hair with all the activity going on around him. So much. He's got such great size, loads of strength in all the right places. Looks like a 2-turn dirt type. Love his frame. Think he's got a lot to grow into, but at the same time, don't feel like he's going to take forever to grow into it. Just super conformation. Tracks great. Very agile. Reaches out with his hind end. It's a very physical, impressive physical now, but I think by this time next year, he's going to just knock your socks off. He's out of a Malibu Moon mare, so he's got some stamina on the bottom, a lot of speed influence on top, and we love that kind of mix and that kind of pedigree, speed and stamina together. We think that hopefully that gets you speed that's going to carry over a route of ground, and we're hopeful that's what we got in him. But just absolutely gorgeous bay colt by Charlatan. Then we were off for a little bit. We actually took a couple days where we weren't super focused on and really looking super hard. We're keeping an eye out, but not looking very hard, because we had been approached by Dermot Littlefield of Fern Hill Stables, who gets a lot of our horses started for us, and he said, "Man, I got this one that I raised." And Ethan West, one of our trainers, he trained the dam, and we're trying to figure out a way that we can both get it, and we're thinking about partnering up together and doing something, but maybe you guys would like to get involved. So sure, we'll take a look. So we waited, and well, the horse that we thought we might be able to get for $40,000, because he's very nice, as Dermot said and Ethan suggested. He ended up selling for right at $100, and that was way more than we were ready to spend at that stage of the sale with 4 horses in the bag already. So we went back at it the next day, and glad we did. Quite frankly, glad things didn't work out, because we ended up out getting a Bolt d'Oro filly out of a Scat Daddy mare, New Jazz. And I know, granted, we've said this before about some of our fillies, she reminds us of Temple City Terror, and this one truly does. She's got the frame, she's got the long legs, nothing at all like our other Bolt d'Oro filly, Venus d'Oro, who's a little more compact and a little more crotch rocket. She's not quite as long, not quite as tall, but this filly just looks like a filly that is going to grow and just be a really nice, 2-turn type when she gets older and develops. And with out of a Scat Daddy mare by Bolt Dioro, who's obviously had a tremendous career, winning over $1 million in his own right, and producing some solid runners so far. Him himself by Medaglia Duro, and this filly just is such a nice filly. Long, stands over a ton of ground, and is just going to be. I think she's going to be a doozy when she's able to mature and put on a little more muscle. Not that she doesn't have muscle now, but put on a little size, put on a little girth. Expect that she's going to be quite the looker. So we bought her, and quite frankly thought that we were done with the sale. But we had our eye on a colt that was going through the ring on the last day. In particular because he's the half-brother of Oscar Season. Oscar Season, our 4-year-old by Oscar Performance, who won at Kentucky Downs last August on debut. Went on to finish third in the not the Illinois, or anyway, but he ran third in a stakes race at Hawthorne. Won an allowance down at Gulfstream over the winter. He's had some up and downs this year. We tried a couple things different with him that didn't really work out. But we love Oscar Season, and so for that reason we were kind of interested in his half brother by Divisadero. Divisadero being a stallion that is by Kitten's Joy, Oscar Performance by Kitten's Joy. So you got a lot of that same cross there. Divisadero won stakes races from I think 3 years old to 7 years old. A lot of graded stakes races. Won over $1.5 million. He doesn't have a ton of runners on the ground. He's got 3 crops, but it has not been bred to a ton of mares, so he doesn't have that many babies. But he's off to a fairly decent start with that relatively small group. But we liked him, but we weren't thinking that we were going to buy him just because of where we were and what we thought it was going to cost. And then on that Saturday afternoon, Brett Jones of Airdrie Stud gives us a call and says, "Hey, we don't think we're going to get what this colt deserves, just because of our place in the book. Divisadero is not not super commercial right now, not really hitting it. We're going to keep him ourselves and run him if we can't get a certain amount of money." So Mark calls me and we talk it through and say, and then they ask us, hey, if you guys are interested, we'll go in 50-50 with you. So when Airdrie Stud, the folks, and they own a leg of Oscar Season as well. They did kind of a similar deal with Oscar Season, and they've done this with so many horses over the years that they have. They've got a couple Oaks winners that they bred and then didn't get their money, didn't get their price for them when they went to auction, so they kept them and raced them themselves and won the Kentucky Oaks twice. So this is something that they do, something that they specialize in. And when they call and say, "Hey, we'd like you guys to go in with us on this and partner with us on this deal because we've had success with Oscar Season," it's kind of hard to pass that up, especially when we'd already seen him and we liked him ourselves. So we ended up spending just a little bit more money to get that 6th horse, and just thrilled to have Oscar Season's half brother in the stable as well. Obviously we only had 5 shares available to begin with, and he's nearly sold out. So if you're interested in him, don't delay much longer because he's not going to last long at all. So that's a quick wrap on our on the yearling purchases that we made in September, Keeneland September. We will likely be buying again in October at Fays at Tipton, but a lot of that's going to depend obviously on how much of these we sell out between now and then. But the plan right now is try to pick up one more in October. But again, we'll see what happens between now and then. But if you got any questions about these, hit us up on the at the email address below, or give us a call if you've already got our number. We think these all represent some great opportunity, and even though the ones that we spent a little bit more on than we'd intended, we feel like still represent some pretty exceptional value, and certainly the last couple that we bought at at what we think are very bargain prices. The Charlatan at 40,000, the Bolt d'Oro at 30, and then 15,000 for 50% of the Divisadero Oscar season half brother. Feel like we could not have done any better. Spent our dollars any better than we did. So anyway, that's a wrap on our 2025 September Keeneland sale, and we'll be back and talk again soon.